Hello coders! Hello, good morning. It's Friday. 7:40. I'm a little bit late, so I do apologize. A little bit late. I was making tea and all sorts of other beverages for today's stream. I'm going to be doing something a little bit drastic today. This is quite a big change. We're going to rebuild the query builder. We're going to rebuild the query builder. This is quite a big thing that I'm going to do. I don't think the query builder that we've created is fit for purpose. And the last stream and the stream before, we were code reviewing and refactoring the code, and something caught my eye with the way the architecture has been set out or laid out for the query builder. Everything's done in a very static manner, and also we are exposing too much, I think, to the to the repositories. I'll go through those in just a second. I've just noticed something. Just bear with me just a second. That's a bit better. The light was a bit rubbish. So let's go to the code. I'll demonstrate what I mean. This is what we were going through yesterday. We had a lot of tasks that we were cleaning up and refactoring. This is my things to do list. And this is what I want to focus on today. This is the refactor the query builder so that query statements are not exposed. E.g. query builder where from repository possibly have an interface that just exposes the find, insert or update and update methods. Now, on reflection of that, in hindsight, I actually do think that we need to expose the where clause. I also think we need to expose other things as well, but I don't think we need to expose them at the level of in the architecture that they're in the level of abstraction. So that's what we're going to be playing with today. And I've got a feeling it's going to take all the stream, and I've got a feeling it's going to take probably a little bit over the stream too, over the allocated time, and it's going to break. It's going to break. There's a lot of things relying on the query builder currently as it stands. So yeah. Before I get into this, I just want to give a very warm welcome to Ivan Ik for following yesterday. Thank you very much. I do appreciate that. Following after the stream as well, which was awesome. So thank you very much for doing that. I encourage anybody to jump in and put some comments. I've got the eye on the chat here. Let me know what you're doing, what you're working on, where you are in the world as well. Do feel free to interrupt. That's perfectly fine. I'm just going to keep blathering on, and I'm going to just bash out a bunch of code. We're going to try and do it in a sort of a semi-TDD kind of manner, but I don't know. It doesn't always work out like that. Okay, so let's take a look at the current query builder, and then we can sort of like work from that. And I'll explain why this is probably going to break a lot of things. So if we go into the DB here and we go into the query builder class, it's essentially a series of static functions. We've got a static function called insert, update. We've got inserted placeholders. We've got fields. We've got update placeholders. We've got insert or update. We've got find one by. We've got find all. We've got where, and we've got find all by. So, and all of these have the public visibility scope. So these are all public static functions. Really, the ones that we are only wanting to care about from the repository's point of view. So the repository is the way in which we connect the managers to the queries to run the queries. The only ones that we really care about are the find all bys, the find all, the find one by, the insert or update, and I think there was another one, update, and insert. Okay, so we don't necessarily care about the fields. We don't care about the updated placeholders or the all the other bits and pieces, the where and so forth. So I think from an architectural point of view, we are creating a bit of a code smell here. There is no sort of distinct level of responsibility. We are constructing a query, but the query it can be constructed in many ways. If we took a look at the repositories, I'll show you how they're being called. So if we go to the repository, and let's take the status repository, for instance, we go find one, we then do a query builder find one by, right? We're passing in the table name. But we can also, if we wanted to at this point, we could also do SQL, is equal to query builder. We could also do inserted placeholders. We could also do the fields. And I don't think we need to expose this. This is not what I want to do. And I think that this is actually a very good opportunity for me to refactor, restructure, rebuild, essentially. This is quite a big change. The query builder, and use this as a mechanism of actually teaching OOP. Because essentially, for anyone who's new to this, what we're doing is we're building an invoicing application. And this invoicing application doesn't have any frameworks. There's no Symfony, there's no Laravel, there's nothing like that. It is just clean, raw PHP. We are using Codeception for testing, and we have about 100 and something tests. I would like to have a lot more. And this application, this invoicing application, is going to be used for me to teach object-oriented programming. So what happened was a while back, FreeCodeCamp got in touch and said that, am I able to build a course, an object-oriented programming course in PHP? And I've already got a course on the How to Code Well YouTube channel, but it doesn't teach object-oriented programming in PHP from the perspective of a project. It just teaches the sort of like the fundamentals, I wouldn't say the basics, but it teaches what things are in object-oriented programming. It doesn't show you how you can use those things, if that makes sense. It's like, this is what polymorphism means, but it doesn't show you how to use polymorphism within an application. So this is what I want to use this application for, and I want to use this query builder thing as a demonstration piece. So these live streams certainly aren't the course. This is me building the application to use in that course. So that's what that was. That's it. Hi, Sabby. Hope you're well. So I'm just going to drink my tea, which is ever growing cold. I'll tell you what, I need one of those sort of tea warmer thingies. Or just have some way of actually making tea on the live streams. But if I did that, then I don't think I would ever leave. So, okay, let's see if we can rebuild this. I want to. There's a couple of architectural things. I want to still call it Query Builder. Now that causes a bit of a problem because we've got Query Builder here. I want to keep the stability of this application as well. So that's a bit of a consideration. I'm going to run all the unit tests, all the tests now, just to make sure that everything is working as expected. Let's just do a Docker. Well, I literally have just walked in the office, so I need to do a Docker machine start to actually start the machine. I normally do this before the streams, but I was a bit waylaid this morning. And I think the way I'm going to get around the fact that I want it still to be called Query Builder is, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to extend Query Builder to another class that has these public methods that I want to use. And that means that I can still instantiate the Query Builder. And then eventually what I want to do is replace these methods, these static methods, with the new things that I'm putting through. That means that I'm reducing the amount of damage that I'm causing on the application. And I think that's really important. I think that is, it's kind of a dirty little hack. It's kind of a way of saying that I like the way the class is called, but if I wanted to change the whole class, Like if I wanted to call this query builder old and then query builder, right? The new one, query builder. How many times have you seen that in your code? How many times have you seen like index back BKP1 or index old or something like that? So I want to avoid doing that. I want to keep the fact that it's called query builder. I like that. Okay, so we've started that machine. I'm going to have to evaluate the shell. Again, I normally do this before the things, so I do apologize. Let's just do a docker ps-a to make sure that everything is running as expected. It is. Okay, let's can't talk. Let's jump into the container. So come on, this should be on my history. Thank you. Okay, so we're in here and we're gonna just run every single test. Boom. Okay. There's not enough tests in my opinion to you know, there's 115, but there could be a lot more. And in the yesterday's stream, we did a lot of changing to the way that some of these classes were called and where they were living and stuff. So I'm glad that everything is working as expected. Okay. So enough talking. Start coding. So let's go into the tests. This is probably the first place I should go. Let's start nice and fresh. We're going to do a unit test. It's going to be in DB. Yeah, all right. We'll put it in query builder test. Although I kind of. So the problem I've got is that these queries, right? They're actually testing a specific query. Right, so this is testing the fact that we're inserting that into here. What they're not testing is the fact that, you know, what happens if I want to just do a query builder select or against something that is completely, you know, different. And so these are quite specific to the application. And I think one of the things that I want to focus on, and one of the reasons why I want to rebuild the query builder, is that I want to give it a little bit more of level of abstraction. So I guess just to demonstrate what I would like to do, let's just create a test here. Let's do public function. Let's do come on, I've forgotten it now. Test. It starts with test. Test select. So actually, let's just do test. Let's just do test example because I just want to use this as a bit of a code stub. Let's say, for example, I created a query builder. Let's say what I wanted to do was instantiate that. All right, so we can't instantiate that because it's static. But let's say, for example, it is. All right. What I would like to do is then do query builder select, passing in the table name. Right, so this could be, I don't know, invoice. I would also want to do and where, if I can spell it. And we could put in something like status ID is equal to 4. Then what I would like to do is I would like to do SQL is equal to query builder get SQL. Now, for anyone who is a Doctrine user, you'll know where I'm coming from. This, in my opinion, is a little bit more readable. Let's just put that there. This is really what I want to end up with. So we can do a lot. We can chain a lot of these things. So we can do and where, and then oops, sorry. We could do and where, and that would build the query. Okay, rather than running all of these static things, I would like to do it more dynamically. And this, I could then parcel that up as a query and then send that back to the repository to then run. And with the insert, we could do a similar thing using the and where and so forth. So with that in mind, I think one of the ways I could start this is by creating an interface to define the methods that I would like to have in the query builder. But what really I should be doing when testing the unit tests, is I should be testing specific things, not just the insert, because the insert, if I open that up, it does a whole bunch of things. It fields, inserted placeholders, I'm not testing these things specifically. I'm testing the output of this whole string. And that's really what I want to be, what I want to nail down. So in the query builder test, I would like to do query builder select, and I would just like to test the select. All right, so whatever that comes back as, I just want to test that. And then what I would like to do is have public function test and where. Right, so it's we instantiate a query builder, then we do and where. Let's say, for example, we're putting in the named placeholder, which would be, say, status ID, as well as the value. So let's say that was 4. And then, I need to somehow decide what comes back to that. So I think the and, wheres, and the selects, and if we were to use joins, the joins, anything like that, they would return the query builder back, which means that we can chain this, which means that we need to get a get SQL call. So what we could do is here we could do something like this, assert the same. So this would be and where, and this would be something like status ID is equal to, and then it would be something like status ID. If we were to use the right sort of parameterized queries, it would be something like that. So we then do an SQL. This means that I'm testing the individual portions of this query builder, not the overall query itself. Sorry, that's what am I doing? What am I doing? So that's expected. This becomes the actual. What is the actual? The actual AF. Okay, so there we go. Okay, so that's kind of where I would like this to be, and then the select would be something like assert same. So basically what I want to do is just build a bunch of failing tests, all right? That's what I want to start with. Because this is just a crazy notion that I woke up with this morning, literally a few hours ago, and I thought, hey, let's just do it. Let's just run with it. Who knows? I haven't really thought this through. So we could just walk away from this stream and go, well, it worked yesterday, so we'll just keep to that. All right, so query builder select get SQL query builder, that should return something like select, and then that should be, say, if we did invoice, we should have something along the lines of maybe an array of fields, possibly. And if the array was empty, then maybe we put in an asterisk to select all of them. Maybe. This is me coming up with some design architectural decisions here. So select all, and then from, and then the table name, which would be invoice. Invoice with a Z. We're not gangster. So there we go. So and then that would be, oh, we just remove that. That's fine. Let's just make this a little bit. So that's testing the select. That's testing the and wheres. I mean, obviously none of this exists, right? So that doesn't exist. But I would like to build this so we're testing those individual things. Sorry, my camera's rattling. It's not on the. That's not good. That's far from good. Okay, I'll have to be careful and not hit the table. It's not screwed on properly. Ew. So yeah, I basically want to break this up into little portions, and I want to go, right, I want to test these little individual things first. And then what I can do is then test the whole query, like we were doing with this, I guess. But as you can appreciate, this is going to break a lot of stuff when it's in play, because, I'm going to have to be rebuilding all of this stuff and everything else. So I don't know how long this is going to take, nor do I know if this is actually going to work. So, yeah. Okay. What else can we do? So we got select, test select, test and where. I mean, we could deal with joins. So we could do left joins, all that jazz. I'm not sure we need those yet or at all in this project. I don't know. Let me just have a quick recap myself on... I think they would be defined in the hydrator, and I think it would be the invoice, which would be the pane. Is this... Oh, sorry, this is still testing. Hydration... invoice hydrator. So we're instantiating a new invoice here, and then we're doing hydrate rest. That's a bit basic, isn't it? I thought that we would be... Okay, fine. Invoice item. Okay, no, I must have dreamt that. I'm thinking of something else. I must have dreamt that. Okay, whatever. Going back to plan here. All right, so let's see. We are testing the select and we're testing the where. I guess it would be nice to have aliases if we wanted to. So I guess that would be cool. I'm not sure. See, I don't really know where to stop. I don't know. I think what I mean, that's going to fail. I think what we need to do is just work with what we've got. Let's keep it nice and simple and small, or as simple as we possibly can to begin with. I think that if I overcomplicated it at this stage and started putting in features that I might not possibly need or use, then I'm going to pollute this code base. There's no point in having functionality for like left joins if there's not going to be any left joins, or group bys if there's not going to be any group bys. The application, let's bring it back down to what the application is doing. The application is an invoicing application, and invoicing applications are extremely complicated, but this is going to be as simple as possible. So it's going to have an invoice. We're going to have many invoice items, and in each invoice item we're going to have the various bits and pieces, the row, the line items, the units and the unit prices. We're also going to have, on the invoice itself, we're going to have a status, and we're also going to have a customer. So there are a few joins going on, sure, but I think that we might be able to deal with that from a code point of view rather than from a query point of view. I think what we need to do is come to that bridge when we get to that bridge when we deal with that problem when we get to that problem. Okay, so testing the select and testing the where. Okay, let's build that. So let's do a grab all of these things, bung them up in here. Query builder. This is going to be query builder select. And this is query builder and where. So the reason why I do this, and I mentioned this before, is because this allows me to group my tests, which means that I can pinpoint specific tests. If I was to run the whole test suite, it'll run all of the tests, and then at some point it'll find that there's these two that have failed, There is, because we can't instantiate the query builder, undefined function query builder. But what I can do is pinpoint the test. So I could do unit -g. So, now we're just running the units, and then I can go even further and just say, I want to run the DB query builder select. Okay. So we're just running that single test. Okay, so I think what I'm going to start with is an interface. I think that's probably a good place to start. Let's copy. Let's just grab. What I'll do is I just copy the file. I mean, I know you shouldn't be doing that, but I'm in the wrong place. No, it's up here. Query builder. Let's not. Let's create a new file. It is a query builder. It is a query builder interface. You can't see this because this is a pop-out and I'm not sharing my whole entire screen. But that's the new file. Let's just grab the namespace. Boom, and this is an interface. This is a query builder interface. And the methods that we have outlined are the public function select. Okay. We'll fill out this method signatures in just a second. There was also a public function and where. Okay, so they are both going to return the query builder interface. Like so. There is also going to be sorry, I need to sort that out, don't I? There is also going to be a public function get SQL. This is going to return a string. Awesome. That we're going to have a select on here. Let's bring that up a little bit. We're going to have a table name. So this is going to be a string. And we're also going to have fields. Which is going to be an array. Hooray, it's an array. And that's what we do. So the and where we're going to have a field name, which is a string. And what else? Field name, we probably should have a value or something. Yeah, some sort of, not value. I guess if we were to put in values, then we could be building the parameters. Ooh. Yeah, all right. So that's going to be like a mixed value. It will be. Okay, so that in my head looks quite good. Drink my ever-growing tea, cold tea. So yeah, I think that's okay. To start with. Okay, so then query builder itself. This is going to require the implementation, although I think what I'm going to do is extend. Let's do, as I mentioned, I want to, try and keep the application as stable as possible. Basically, I want to build this feature within the application and then do a quick switcheroo of the extensions. So query builder, let's do, let's just call this query create. It's not great, I know. The name of this class doesn't necessarily matter. because we won't be instantiating this, we'll be instantiating the query builder. The query builder will be extending the query create. All right. The query create is where we're going to be putting in our new toys. So we'll just remove all of that. Bye-bye. This is what's going to implement the query builder interface, and we need to implement all of the methods that we have just defined in our lovely interface that we've created. So we've got our select, we've got our and where, and we've got our get SQL. We obviously need to fill out the method bodies, sure, but that was a okay. All right, things are going okay so far. Right. So going straight back to the tests then, we still would like to what was I smoking? We need to instantiate the query builder. It's not a function. This isn't Python, is it? So query builder, instantiate query. There we go. And now we have access to these things here. So we have access to the select queries, but of course, the method bodies don't work, so we're still going to get an error, right? So if we run this, we're still going to get an error, but the error is different because we can't. Oh, okay, of course, yeah, it must implement. All right, sorry. That's an architectural issue. That needs to implement. Query builder needs to implement. Whoops. Extends that, implements this. There we go. All right. Okay. Return value must implement. What? Return value of appdb query create select must implement interface. Isn't that doing that? Query none returned. Oh, sorry. Yeah, this needs to. I need to deal with the return statement. That's the method bodies. It's been a long week. So what I need to do is return this. So what would be awesome for a PHP Storm in the future is when they know that you're implementing an interface and that interface has a return that's been defined, is when you go and do your auto creation, your generation of the interfaces, it puts this in. It tries to find that. Hang on, is that itself? And if it is, then return this. That would be pretty handy. So, okay, let's run the tests. It's going to fail because, gets SQL must be, okay, yep, that's because this needs to return a string. So let's do SQL is equal to a blank string, and then just return SQL. Run those tests again. Okay, here we go. Now we've actually got a, we've not now blah 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 blah. We've now got to the stage where we can actually, write the bodies out of these methods and actually, because we now have the ability of getting the actual and the expected. The architecture has been sort of glued together. The code, I guess. So all the things are wired in. So the expected is select all from invoice, but the actual is nothing. So this on select, what we need to do is we need to close this down and we need to have SQL is equal to, and this is going to be in concatenated like so. So this will be table name, right? And then this will be select from table name, and it'd be like that, right? So now we need to, and then that returns this. I'm going to have to deal with where to store SQL at some point. So select from, we need to deal with the fields, obviously. So we need to work out whether or not this is a blank array, and if it is, do everything. If it's not, then actually, put in the field names. So we could do this. We could do this very similar to how this was working. So if we go down to the find all, find one by find all. Is there a way of? I'm sure there was a half fields. Here we go. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to put it in here. But I think what I'm going to do is just alter it slightly. This should be a static fields is data. We get the placeholders. Okay, and then we return the SQL. Okay, that works. So we could I guess we could do fields here is equal to self fields passing in the data. Now passing in the actual fields. Now this isn't perfect. I appreciate, and it's completely going against the reason why I'm doing this. But just to get something working to satisfy the query builder, the tests. So select fields from there. Now this needs to be intelligent enough to know that if the fields are, if it is a blank array and it's getting keys. Ugh. All right, hang on. If empty fields, if empty fields, we can do SQL is equal to an asterisk. We can do SQL up here. Actually, no, let's do fields. No, let's not do fields. Let's do fields SQL. Let's call it what it is, fields SQL. Or, even better, let's do SQL fields. Okay. And actually that could be the default, couldn't it? And then we do if isn't empty, SQL fields becomes this, that becomes that. Awesome. So if we scroll down to here, that's going to break. Data needs to be that, I think. I don't know. Maybe it should be fields. I don't think it needs to be keys. No, it's not going to be keys, is it? It's going to be, yeah, something like that. All right, something like that. Then we return the SQL for blah, blah, blah. Then we put in the space. Okay. Run the test. It's still going to fail because we're not actually returning anything back. So let's deal with that. How do we go ahead and put this somewhere? We need to put the SQL somewhere which is reasonable. Let's just tidy this all up a little bit. Okay, I'm guessing because we can do it dynamically, we should store this as a private variable, private property. Sorry. So if we did private SQL parts, right? Okay, interesting. Where's my head with that? Parts. I'm thinking that we could have that as an array. And I'm thinking that we could do this. SQL parts select is equal to SQL. The reason why I'm thinking this is that we're going to need somehow of sort of joining the queries together. You know, the portions of the queries together. Oops, kicked my thing. I mean, if it was just a string, so if it was just SQL is equal to that, right? So sorry, with the equals, and that was just SQL. Well, if we just did this SQL, I mean, that kind of works, but what happens when we do, we add like the add where, like this part, then we're going to have to override the SQL. We're going to have to do some sort of join. So this leads me to think that we need something a little bit more additional to make the query based on these query parts. That's where my head was at when I was creating that array. So I'm thinking that we need probably a separate class even where we can put the parts of the query into some class, which then handles the structure of all of this. I mean, I don't want to get too clever, but there needs to be something, right? I could, of course, just do this SQL is equal to this SQL, or I could just do this, couldn't I? I could just do that, right? And then sort of hope that everything is in the right place. I think. I mean, I don't know. Let's then return this SQL. Let's see if we can do this as a test case anyway. Run that. All right. So the problem here is that we've got select all from invoice, and we've got select all from invoice with a space. So I guess what we could do is we could even have a trim on the end of this, just to make sure that we're not adding any kind of craziness on either side. Yeah, that was the problem there. So we could do that. I don't know. I'm not happy really with just concatenating this query. There's something about that isn't sitting right with me. Something about that isn't sitting right. But let's prevail. We have the first test passing. Let's go to the query builder test. We obviously need to test the fact that, what happens if we actually do supply fields. So let's get that with this. So this is test select with fields. And we're going to do an invoice again. We're going to pass in an array of fields, and we're going to do an array. Let's say we want the ID let's say we want the status ID as well. Or let's say, let's make it a little bit more. Let's put total, all right? So really we want to select the ID and also select the total from invoice. So this is select with fields. All right, let's run this. Run that. So we're going to do the group bys, and we're going to pass, the group, and we're going to, oh no! Didn't copy in the clipboard. There we go. All right, so that's passed. Okay, all right, okay. I thought that was going to fail, to be honest, but that passed. Okay, so we have now got the ability to pass in the invoice, the table name, as well as a bunch of fields. Yeah, okay. Okay, that's cool. All right. I don't like that. I do not like that. Don't like it. Don't like it at all. No. We shouldn't be exposing this. This shouldn't be a public static function. We should not be exposing this one bit. The whole point of me refactoring this is to prevent these things from being exposed. So I think what we need to do is I think we're going to do something a little bit more drastic this time round. I think we're actually going to create a new folder in here, maybe. I don't know, because now we're making nested stuff. I'm thinking maybe we create a new folder in DB called Query Builder, and we put in all of our new toys within there. Really, what I would like to do is I would like to have this. I would like to do... I'm going to just throw in some code, all right? I'm just going to throw in some untested, undocumented, mind-dumping code, okay? So we're going to create a class called query. Bear with me with this. And we will copy all of that. Paste that into here. We're going to call this query. We're not going to extend anything. It's just going to be on its own. And we're going to have a public function. Because what I would like to do, right, is I would like to... Let me just explain myself. I want to put... no. Right. So this interface should be the interface that is exposed to the repositories when we're actually building the query. There's obviously going to be some features that the query builder needs that shouldn't be exposed by the contract of the interface. And those things, such as the one we've just identified here, which is, where are we? Here. The fields, right? We need to, using perhaps dependency injection, inject a way of calling upon various methods within another class that will help construct the query. So I want something like public function add field. So we could even call this fields. Oh, now I'm thinking we could even call this fields or field, add field. We could just call this add. And this is going to be name. And this is going to be a string. Oh, now I'm thinking, okay, so this we could have private name. I mean, this is, I don't know, is this pointless? Is this pointless? Name is equal to a string. This, I don't know, are we overcomplicating this? Name is equal to that. Return this. I don't know. That just seems pointless, right? That's pointless. We can't have a class for every field. That's daft. How ridiculous is that? A field collection. Fields. Becomes an array. And we still have the ability to add, right? But we have public function set fields, and we have an array of fields, and we have, oh Pete, you're writing too many untested code, but I'm just trying to get this out of my head. Fields, add, set fields, public function, remove field. Do we need that? No, we don't. We don't need reset fields. All right, maybe that's all we need. So this would be, we would reset the field. So this fields is equal to a blank array. And then we would do for each, we would then work through this stuff. So down here. So in here, we would put that in. So for I is count blah, blah, blah. Put for fields. And then we would grab that, put that into the add stuff. If I, no, okay. This would then be this add field, or fields with an I. Okay, and then what we do is we have a public function get SQL, which returns a string. Which does a return of this fields, and we could even go one step further and do the whole bloody blah thing. You know what I mean? So for I blah 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 in this count this fields yada yada yada. Put in whatever that was, which was in the query create. This nice stuff going on here. Pass that into here. Put that into there. Get that up there. SQL is equal to DDD. And then this is this fields. And that returns the SQL. Whew. Okay, so this is kind of like a little utility method just to set the fields, and this should be fields like that. That should return this. That should get the SQL. So what I'm thinking is that we create these little utility methods that can be injected into the query builder, which the query builder then works off of to do all of the mechanics of actually constructing this. This means that we're actually breaking this application up into smaller little chunks. Okay, that was a lot of code that was not tested, so we can do that now. Let's just rename that to be field collection. Hello, Stunny Boy, how's it going? Collection. Sorry, I got myself into the zone there. There's so much code that hasn't been tested, it's unreal. But the idea is that we do something like, I'm going to break everything now, aren't I? This query, think of this like a query builder within a query builder. So query, and then, or this, sorry, fields, I should go, fields? Field collection. No. What am I going to call it? This field collection. I can't spell. Field collection with that, and then it's going to be set fields, passing in fields, and then and then that's field. Huh. Field, not filled. It's not cool. Double L. Seriously, man. And then we would have SQL fields as we've had before, but this time this would be field collection get SQL, right? That's kind of what I wanted to get out of my head. So we would create some little utility class that just dealt with the fields. This means that we're not exposing how the fields are created. We're not having this horrendous public static function that does all of this stuff. This also means that we can add fields one after the other if we wanted to. So, we don't have to. But we could. Yeah, I mean, I think that kind of, it says what it does, right? I mean, I want to try and make this as sort of basic as possible. We're just sort of like, this one. We're just kind of like passing in, basically, these things. We just need to pass in the values, right? And then out pops the query. The stuff in the middle, that's where the guts of this should be dealt with. Yeah. So the get SQL should also deal with that as well. So in the field collection, get SQL. So SQL should be an asterisk. So this is if not empty, this fields, and then we pass that in, right? So okay, I've written a lot of tests, a lot of code, and I haven't tested it. Let's comment that out. So if I run that again, which was db query select, we should get a failure. But what I would like to do is I would like to test in isolation this field collection. Field collection test. Okay. So let's remove all of these tests. Let's keep those in. And so there's a number of things to play with here. We should test the add. Yep. So we should do that. Come on, field collection test. Here we go. So this is test add. Query builder. This is not a query builder, is it? This is a field collection. Field collection. Add. we're instantiating a new field collection. Silly me. Come on. We're going to add a field, and we're just going to call this ID, right? And we're going to make sure that when we return the get SQL off of the query builder, we're going to make sure that this comes back with ID within backticks. That's our test. Whoop, whoop, whoop. No, no. Wrong key was pressed. Okay, so DB field collection, let's put that in. So DB field collection add. Nah. See, this is why we test our code, people. So that doesn't work, does it? SQL is that if not empty. Really, that should be if count not empty, to be honest. Come on, Pete. Think about it. Think about it. If count this field is greater than 0, then for blah blah blah, create this. We are doing that, aren't we? So we should reset SQL at this point. What's wrong there? Have I removed the backtick? There we go. Okay, so that's working. In theory, if we were to instantiate the field collection, so test blank, if we were to instantiate the field collection but not pass anything in add, we should therefore have an asterisk. If I've done it right. Yes, sweet. And let's just for a complete belt and braces check, let's add more. So add multiple. So we're going to add an ID, and we're going to do a add of, let's say, total. This should be ID, and this should also be total. Okay. So let's run those tests. Yeah, no, add multiple, Pete. Come on. Let's just run the filter collection tests. There we are, three of them. Cool. So that's adding multiple. Now let's set them because that needs to happen too. Test set. So here what we're going to do is we're going to just run set fields, and we're going to have an array of fields, and the first one is going to be an ID, second one is going to be a total. Marvelous. And that's going to be exactly the same as we've had before. There we go. Sweet. So we're testing the add multiple, the setting, and the making sure that a blank comes back with an asterisk. Let's change blank to all, because that makes more sense to me, I think, if I was to run these tests and go, why am I testing for blank? That's weird. But if I ran this again and it should say all, I kind of know what that means. All right, that's cool. So, I mean, obviously, if we run the tests that we did before, which is the query builder select, it's going to fail because we're not injecting injecting the field collection in, which is something that I would like to achieve. Also, I'm thinking that there's going to be a lot of these little utility methods that I could create, and I think they're going to all have get SQL. So I think that this also warrants a interface at some point. Although let's just tidy this up a little bit. Let's just actually put in the return stuff. So we're going to set fields, and we're going to set field collection, and we're going to get the, that's fine, awesome. I'm going to put in some comments here, just to make my IDE like it a little bit. Okay. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drink some water because I've talked a lot. That's weird. I'm getting like different statistics on the stream. So I don't know whether the stream is losing connectivity or not. Statistics, I mean, for the quality of the thing. So that's weird. I do apologize if it's falling out. My internet connection is rubbish. Alright, okay, so field collection. Let's go back to the query create. We need some way of injecting the field collection into this thing. So we could do this by public function construct. We could put field collection here. No. And we could do this. Sorry, not this. Come on. Oh dear. See, the caffeine is wearing out, so I need to. And I'm only on water. Why did I not choose anything else when I went downstairs to get my drink? So we're injecting field collection into the query create equals this field collection. What? No. There we go. Silly me. All right. So now we can set the fields, and then we can get the SQL. Yeah, we could even do this to make it a little bit more streamlined. Whoa! Oh yeah, it's because my tests aren't injecting that. Too few arguments. Query builder, new query builder. Yeah, I need to inject. I need to do a field collection. Can I? I'm just thinking, like we're using Codeception here, and this is that we do have. Do we have the ability to do this? Well, if I put function in, it would help, wouldn't it? Field collection. Sorry, my camera is shaking. I can hear it tap on the thing. Protected. I don't know why it's loose. It is a bit worrying. So field collection. Field collection. This field collection. And then can I do this field collection in here? Yay! Okay, Let me just see. Okay, it's still on its thread. No, I'm too scared with that. Let me just because I don't want to break this camera. Not this one. Well, I don't want to break any camera, but certainly not this one. Let me just give me a second. I'm gonna just sort of screw in the camera. This might look a bit weird. Oh dear. No. This isn't good. This isn't good. No. Oh dear. Hang on. Can I get that up? So there. Can I? Whoa. Okay. No. Sorry. No. I think I'm going to just leave it as is. Let's put that back in focus. There we go. Bring that in a little bit. Whoa. No. Okay. I'm going to leave it. I'm going to leave it because I tried to do that and I started to pull out a lot of wires. So yeah, just sorry if it's shaking. I just apologize. I just don't want it to fall off. Oh dear. The things that happen on stream. Field collection. Yes, let's get rid of that. Okay, so so run the tests. Let's run all of the tests. Let's see, have I broken anything at all? Ooh. Oh yes, the and where. Select. So the and where hasn't been set up, so this is going to fail, I think. Yeah. All right. So let's just focus on that unit. -G. DB query. No, that's not the right one, is it? Test. And where? Here we go. And where? Okay, there we go. So, too few arguments. Well, this is because of this. I need to inject that. Okay. So, nothing has been supplied, and this is what we're hoping to get. So, thinking about how I've just done the field collection, I'm thinking maybe we need to have a where collection, because there could be multiple wheres, right? So and where, all of that stuff. But before we jump ahead of ourselves, let's just take a look at how the query create is actually dealing with the and where. So if we go to and where here, it's not dealing with it at all, is it? So we do need to put in. Well, we need to decide. The question is, do we have an and? Because we can't do select all from invoice and where. It needs to be select all from invoice where. And then for subsequent where clauses, we use and. So we do need to have a collection of where clauses. So that's my reasoning, my thinking for having having a where collection. It's going to be slightly different, obviously, to the field collection. And now we are injecting two things, and there could be another thing after that. So then we might have to have some way, our own little container to contain these things in. Okay. All right. So field collection. Let's take a look at how that is built. So we have if this was a where collection, this would be where collection. We would have where clauses as the array. We would have the ability to add a where clause. We would have the ability to get the SQL. And we would have the ability to set the where clause as well. So I think thinking about it from the test's perspective, if we were to copy that into here and call this where collection, if you can hear the children outside screaming, they are, I promise, having a good time. I could just hear people's voices and kids laughing, which is lovely. It's lovely, but not great on a stream, so I do apologize. So, okay, so we're going to have a test where we're also going to have a test add multiple, a test add. I'm just trying to think, like DB field collection, DB where collection. Let's do a copy of that. Let's do a command R. Let's do a field collection, change all of that to a where collection. Replace all of those things. Good, good, good. Replace field collection to be where collection. Awesome. Oops, I made that really small. That's cool. Okay, so we're going to have an add of the where clause, so test add. We're going to have test add multiple, so this is adding more than one clause. And then we've got the test set, so this is setting the clause. And then we've got test all. So I guess it follows a similar structure, which is okay. Okay. We also need to have get SQL. Where's that? Where's the get of the SQL? Did I not do that in the other one? Oh yeah, get SQL. Sorry. Here we go. Okay, so where collection. Let's do where it is the field name. Let's say it is ID. And it is the value. So let's do 10. Okay, let's run that test. Obviously, it's going to fail, but that becomes my failing test. Class where not found. Okay, that's fine. That's because we haven't created it. Yep, I was having a bit of a brain reset there. No, we haven't created it, have we? So let's create that. Now I'm really thinking that we need to put this in another folder somewhere. I'm just throwing this all in here. I'm not over happy about it, to be honest. I'm kind of mixing this directory's responsibilities a bit. Okay, so the where collection, we have the add, which also has the so that's the field name. Oops, and we also have well, yeah, it's mixed, isn't it? The value. Let's just grab that. Let's just do a command R. Let's change that to where collections. So this is adding the where clause. I think really we need a where and a where collection. I think we need to create a new where at this point. I think we need to do, because then we, or do we? I don't know. We need something to go. We need something to go into the fields, which I'm now going to call where clause, like Santa Claus, but for wheres. Now we could do a multi-dimensional array, because there's only two values that we could do. I mean, we could even do a key and a value. Maybe we should do that, a key and a value. So maybe we should do field where. Let's just, instead of calling this field name, let's just call it field. Make it a little bit more readable. So it's a field and value. So it's a key value pair. So it's a key value pair. Okay, so set fields should be really set where. It's an array. For each where clause, we reset the where clause. Then we do, because we're doing key value pairs, we should do a for each loop. For each where in, for, no, not in, as, come on, this isn't whatever programming language I was thinking. For each whereas, what else? For each where, so we need the key, so that becomes the field. And then this becomes the value. So this becomes this where, whoops, field is equal to value. I'm pretty sure there's an easier way of doing this. I mean, come on, man, that is the array that you're putting through. What's the point in this, man? That's just ridiculous. Ridiculous. You could just do this, Pete. Come on, put yourself together. Where clause is equal to where. That's what you should be doing. Why are you looping over to create the same array and then passing that back? Silly me. Okay. So we've got the add, we got the set, and then now we can deal with the get SQL. So here we could do something like a blank array, a blank thing first, and then we could do a for each or for where clause, because we're going to have to deal with that and issue. If it's greater than 0, then we do a for each this where clause as field value, and what we want to do is we want to do SQL field is equal to value. Now, we're using parameterized queries here, so we should really do whoops. Something like that. And what we could do, there's no need for any of that because that's just ridiculous. For each where clause as field value, SQL field we need a counter. It's equal to 0. Counter plus plus. And then we do if counter is under here, if counter is less than the count, and we shouldn't do that in the for each. So do a count is equal to count of this where clause for each counter is if the counter is less than this where clause and no, that's fine. No, that's fine. We then do SQL is equal to and. All right, let's remove all of this junk. Okay, something's broken here. That needs to be count if it's less than if the counter is less than the count. That needs to go over there. Come on. Let's make that a little bit tidier. All right. So let's see. Okay. So expected ID should actually be ID is equal to the placeholder. So let's do in query builder, where collection. Here we go. Where collection test. That should be that. Sweet. All right. Cool. Okay. All right. So let's now test the multiples. So let's change that to be. I could probably get away with doing a Command R, changing that to be where up here. Replacing all of those. Awesome. We could do add, and this is this should be ID is equal to ID, and that should be and total is equal to total. So let's run this and do add multiple. Call to undefined set fields. Really? On line 54. Oh, sorry. This should be set, which means that this field collection is also wrong because I copied the class. There we go. Where? Okay, here we go. Too few arguments. Too few. Oh yes, I need the values. So I'm not actually doing anything with the values at the moment, which is a bit of a concern. And one could argue that this isn't really how, I mean, this is named placeholders, but maybe the placeholders should be dealt with after the SQL has been constructed. But anyway, moving on. We've got the test add, we've got the test add multiple, and let's now deal with the set. So this is where we're setting all of these things. So as one happy family. So this should be the same expected result. And this should be set where. No tests executed. Really? Collection set. Oh no. Collection. There we go. Okay. So, yeah, because the placeholders need to be added. That's a bit awkward, isn't it? So let's say that was 10 or 19, that'll do. And then let's say that was, it doesn't matter, 3, whatever. We just need some way of putting a value. Okay, cool. Okay, I'm happy with that so far. With the query builder test, then let's test the add where. Oh, of course, we need to actually put in the where clause. Okay, yeah, that's interesting. That's an interesting question because this is a collection of where clauses. This isn't the start of the where. However, maybe there should be where. The thing is, if we were to run this, it would just return where. So we would need some form of check to make sure that there is actually something in here. So if we did if count is greater than 0, then we do SQL is equal to where. All right, which is going to break the tests, right? It's going to break the tests. So let's go to here. Let's go to, so this needs to be and. No, no, no. This needs to be where. And this needs to be where. And there was another one, I'm sure. Yep, that needs to be where. Okay, run the tests. Fine, awesome. Let's run the DB, all the DB collection jobbies. Nope, we've broken something. Test, test all. Okay, so that should be an empty string because this is now testing blank, so there's nothing in here to test. So that should be an empty string. So test blank. Which it is. Awesome. Cool, because you obviously don't want to have the word where in your SQL if there's no collection, there's no where clauses to use. All right, let's move on. So with the query builder test, then this should be like that, where status ID is equal to this. Let's run that. I don't know why I've called that and W. Where? There we go. Do. Okay, so we're not actually dealing with anything yet. So if we go into the query create, we need to deal with that. Now, one could suggest that perhaps I need to put this in. So let's do a where collection. But there's an issue here, and I will talk about that in just a second. This where collection is equal to time is 1903, 1913, 9:13. That's okay. It's okay. So we do this where collection, and we do add. Seriously, why am I calling this field name? This could just be called field. There's no need for that. Passing in the value. And then this is, this returns this where collection get SQL. And where? Should it return the query builder interface? What am I doing here? Yeah, it should. It should. Set fields. Okay. I guess what we could do at this point is we could do this. This SQL. Oh, this is going to be tricky, isn't it? We could do this SQL is equal to that. And then this returns this. This is going to be a bit tricky. And of course I've gone and broken everything because we're now having to instantiate the where collection, which is terrible. But there's a deeper problem. There's a deeper problem than this. I'm trying to solve it. Field collection, where collection. Where test select test blah 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 blah. All right, query builder. We're gonna have to instantiate, or we're gonna have to inject that this really seriously. I'm not. Oh. Okay. In there we go. And there we go. Okay. So let's run this again. So this has passed. Okay, this has passed, but please don't think that this has passed. Like, it has passed, but please don't think that this is good. There's two issues here. One is that if we ever put in another collection, then that's going to be a third thing in here, which isn't great. I'm thinking that we need to have a container to put all of these collections within, and then just inject the container. Second is that the where collection has a get SQL, and so does the field collection that has an SQL. It also, being a collection, has the ability to set and add. So we have conventions. We are slowly building conventions. This is leaning very nicely towards an interface, very nicely indeed. But the bigger issue is the fact that with the query create, we are doing add where, and we've got this SQL, and we're concatenating the SQL to this where collection get SQL, which is problematic because when we open this up, we're going to check the single instance of this collection and then return the where, I think. So I might have to rethink this a little bit because this isn't good. I think the first thing I'm going to do though is let's just tidy this up a little bit. Let's just do let's just make some conventions. Okay, let's make some conventions with these two. Field collection here and where collection really needs to be in its own little folder. I'm going to create a folder in here called builder. and we're going to put the field collection in, and we're going to put the where collection in. Okay, so that's now app DB builder, and so is you. I'm going to, what am I going to do? I'm going to create a interface in here. We're going to call this field. No, we're going to call this collection interface. One could argue I could call it builder interface, but let's just keep it as it is, because we might have other builders within the builder directory, of course. So the collection interface is going to have a well, first of all, let's call it an interface. So interface collection interface. Let's sort the namespaces out. Copy that. Oops. So we have public get SQL. That's going to return a string. Obviously, that needs to be a function. What else have we got? We've got add. Now, the problem with the add is that with the where collection, we're adding the field and the value, whereas with the field collection, we're just adding the that. So there is a difference. There is a difference. So it's not all the same. Okay, so I can't really do add, but I can do set. And we can pass in data, and that is an array. We can at least do that. Because, and that will return a collection interface. Because with the field, we have the set fields, right? So we could just call that set. And with the where clause, we have set where, which is an array. They're both slightly different because obviously with the where collection, it's a key value pair. Sure, it's an associative array, whereas with the fields, it is just an array of fields, and they're obviously handled differently. But just to keep a convention going, we can do that. And then what we can do here is we can do implements collection interface. So we've got the add, that's fine. We've got the set fields, that needs to be called set now. And that needs to return a collection interface. In fact, they should already, the get SQL as well, that's good. Okay, so that's cool. And then with a where collection, we have, we implement the collection interface. And we can change that to become set. And that's a collection interface, like so. All right. Oops. Okay, so this now allows me to create more collections following that convention, and it means that I can create some sort of container that contains these collections that I can then use in a common manner. So we have obviously broken a number of things because this is now, whoops, field collection, and this is where collection. Okay, why is that still? That should be set. Okay, cool. Awesome. Scroll down to the tests here. We've got to sort these out. So let's sort the field collection out first. That's a completely different path. That's fine. There is a problem here. That should be set. And with the test, with the where collection here, that needs to change as well. So that's builder. And we've got one issue here where we need to set that. Okay, cool. Query builder, let's see. There's a lot of problems here. Let's have a look. That needs to be builder, builder. Okay, this is okay. There's an issue here for some reason. No data source. Oh, it's just the data sources, isn't it? That's fine. That's okay. That's fine. It's just the PHP storm trying to be clever about the data sources. I don't want it to do that. All right, so let's run the tests and see. Let's just do all of them because, you know, I've made a lot of changes. 126 now. They're all passing. Another. So the next issue is the fact that we have. The next issue is the fact that we have these collections being instantiated into the query create routine. Really, what I would like to do is I would like to create a container. So we're going to just call this builder. And I would like to have a class called builder. And we have a public function construct. We're passing in the where collection, and we're passing in the field collection. We're setting those. I mean, I could do this better. I could create this as a factory, perhaps. So private. I might do that. Create as a factory. All right, let's just continue down this road. Where collection. This field collection is equal to that. That equals the field collection. Okay, so then what we do is we do this. We could do this where. Okay, maybe we could do that. So let's do function, public function where. And then that we do return. Again, lots of untested code. Okay, I do appreciate this. I'm just trying to throw this down. So that return this where. Ah, come on. Come on, come on. This is fields. field and where. And then what I could do is in the query create, I could then inject the builder. You see what I'm doing? You see what I'm doing here? We could put the builder in here. We can then say this is builder. So we do builder where set. Actually, no, that's not builder where set. This is builder fields set. Okay. Then we don't need any of this stuff. This can go. Bye bye. That can go. So we do this builder where add. This builder get SQL. This means now that I have this container of goodness that I can actually pass in various different bits and pieces and build them out. I could even do other things such as discovering whether or not I need to put in a from, or whether I need to do other bits and pieces to build that out. Okay. Now, obviously, I've completely and utterly annihilated these tests because, well, we haven't broken these tests. It's these tests. If I was to inject the builder in here, if I was to inject the builder in here, does this mean that I have to then inject the other ones as well? I'm not sure. I mean, or do I need to mock these out? I'm not entirely sure. So this becomes this builder. Now, that doesn't make any sense. New query builder, and I'm instantiating a builder. But what I'm trying to do is adjust the definition of what the query builder is. That's my excuse, and I'm keeping to it. Obviously, I will change that at some point. Okay, let's run the tests again and see if I've damaged anything. Yep, get SQL and where. So this is DB query builder test, and this is what, line 43. Line 43 is down here. That's confusing. DB unit query builder test. Query builder test. Yeah. Oh, that's create. Sorry. Query builder on line 65. And where. So we open that up. And this we have built. Oh yeah, that needs to be where. Or yeah, it does need to be where. Okay, all right. So there's an issue here. I don't like the way we've basically facaded the fact that we can do an and in there, which isn't fantastic. Yeah, I'm not overly happy with that. Not overly happy with that at all. This is okay. But I've got over the fact that I'm not exposing the fields from the repositories anymore, to the repositories anymore, because these fields are defined in a builder class that is only exposed when that has been injected, and it's been injected into this query create class here. So yeah. Okay. I think what I'm going to do is as the tests are working, none of this code is in use yet. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop it here because, well, A, I'm starving. I haven't had my breakfast yet. And B, I need to get on with some other bits and pieces of work. So because I did want to do this all the way up to 9:30 and it's now 9:35. But I think that this is sort of like it's going in the direction that I want it to go in, which I'm super happy about. I've certainly got rid of the fact that we're not exposing fields anymore, because if we had a look at the query builder here, we had everything was public static functions. Didn't like that at all, not at all. And this was exposed. Yes, I could have changed the visibility scope, but I also wanted a manner of creating it in a dynamic way using objects rather than in a static manner. This means that we can build the queries as we go. So I think what's going to happen is I'll probably come back next Tuesday, I think, and we'll focus on this a little bit more. I appreciate I haven't put a GitHub issue onto this. I just kind of, it's one of those things. I got up and I just thought this is what I need to do, and I just went ahead and did it. I didn't think about doing it properly. And I was making it up as I went along. This is the beauty of streaming. You saw a lot of stuff that I did wrong. But yeah, I'm reasonably happy with the way this is going. Apart from this, I don't like the fact that we are concatenating the SQL every time we call that, because really what this is doing is facading the and where, and I'm not a massive fan. And this means that when we do get SQL, we are breaking this because we're saying that there's going to be a where clause here, and that's not pretty. I think in the next stream, next week I'll probably do an example of why that's a bad thing. The next stream, however, though, the next stream is going to be this Sunday at 14:30. British summertime. I'm doing a talk at PHP South Wales on the 26th of this month, and my talk is how to put your Docker image on a diet. I still need to work on the talk. That's kind of me saying be careful because it's going to be a bit bitty. But what I'm planning to do on the next stream is to do the first run through. I still need to finish and write the talk, but I want to do a run through. I want to get some stuff out of my head onto the presentation software, the Keynote that I use, and I want to do the first run through. There's also another project that I want to be dealing with and playing with on Sunday as well. A personal project of mine, which isn't anything to do with this. If we have the opportunity, I'll do that. So this is going to happen this Sunday. At 14:30 British summertime. Something that's happening today, and Sabby's happy about that. Yeah, nerves. So something that's happening today, Friday. It is Friday. These things come around too quick. Is that I'm publishing the podcast today. A podcast goes out every Friday, and today we have Jessica Smith, who is an old colleague of mine. We had a lovely conversation about side projects. So, How to Code Well is my side project. She has, to say a bigger side project than me is an understatement and a half. So she's in a full-time position, and she's working on something, let's just say something rather epic. That's coming out today, and that'll be out in the lunchtime time of today. So that's happening today. So do check that out. That's howtocodewell.fm, or of course you can get that from the iTunes, from the Spotify's, and from the other places on the internet where you can get podcasts from. Of course, it's going to be on the How to Code Well YouTube channel as well, because we video these things. So that's happening. That's happening today. So yeah, if you want some more How to Code Well goodness, then do check that out. But for now, I need to crack on. I need to do some other bits of work. And I need some breakfast. So for now, happy coding. Be very good to each other, and I will speak to you hopefully on Sunday at 14:30. Speak to you then. Cheers. Bye-bye.